Right, so here we are. It is our fourth session during the International Coaching Week events, and what a delight to introduce Bridget, who is old friend. We lived in China at the same time. Our times overlapped, and it's wonderful to have a chance to actually exchange as a guest speaker. You're coming to this event to really share your wisdom. I observed when LinkedIn was really not so popular. It was just at the stage of like becoming, at least for me, I was very new to that portal. And I remember at that time you were so excited and you were training people how to bring LinkedIn profile up to the speed and so on. I know you have a lot of experience. You started your second company now with Mind Steady Go and doing coaching, right?
Yes.
And at the moment you are in Barcelona, but you live in UK. So this is as much as I want to share it, just to bring this sense of you as a traveler as well as a very business-oriented woman. If you want to add anything, please go ahead. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Oh, thank you, Dalida. Yes. So I used to live in Beijing, and I had a translation English editing company there called English Trackers. Had a great time with that business and had, a lot of fun. But then, like many people, when I got to 50 and my last child left home, I decided I wanted a change, and I went traveling to, kind of get back in touch with myself. And on that journey, I became a yoga teacher as something I'd been doing a long time. And then I got interested in breath coaching, etc. So then I had a complete switch. I felt I had worked with documents for a long time, always with everyone else's language, everyone else's writing, everyone's speech. And so I decided I want to work with humans. And that's where I did this radical change. So now I get to coach people and work with people, and it's fantastic. And you'll see who I work with, who my perfect client is. So today we're going to look at how do you communicate to your perfect client? Who is your perfect client? And how do you find this voice within you that you want to use? Because I used to work in a law firm, so maybe you worked in a law firm and you're a lawyer and you're going to become a coach. Or like Dalida, maybe you were more of a trainer and now you're going to become a coach. So you are going to become your own company. And how do you find that message inside you? How do you figure out how to speak to your clients so that they can find you? So we're going to look at this idea of what is a perfect client, what do you need to say to attract them, and maybe just getting over a little bit the fear of speaking and But what I want to do, because I'm a breath coach, is start with a bit of breathing so that we get a little bit into the groove. And for me, it's early in the morning, but I know for you, it's halfway through the day. So I just want you to sit straight in your chair with both your feet on the floor and just take a moment to come into your body so you can close your eyes. Relax your belly. You can roll your shoulders, take your shoulders up to your ears and back round. Maybe do that twice. Just ease any tension. Okay, now you can open your eyes. We're going to just warm up the body a little bit. So if you want to take your hands to your heart here, and then we're going to inhale through the nose, so arms go up, and then out through the mouth. I invite you to make a little noise if that feels good for you. And we're going to do 4. So inhale through the nose. 2 more. Stretch up. It helps warm up your diaphragm. And the last one. Everybody to do a sigh this time. And then just cross your arms over your chest, put your hands here. Just going to open up the chest, open up the heart area. So we're going to inhale, you look to one side. So inhale, look to one side. Exhale, back to center. All through the nose now. And then inhale, look the other way. And back to center. And again. Imagine you're opening your heart to the opportunities and to the learnings today. Last one. And back to center. Okay, we're just going to do a little, this is balancing the brain one. You may have done it in yoga class. It's called alternate nostril. So they do it like this with 2 fingers there and a thumb and a little finger. I like to do it just very simply like this. So however it feels comfortable for you. What we do is we breathe through one nostril, inhale through one, exhale through the other, inhale through that one, exhale. It's very simple. We're going to do about a minute, but it really balances the hemispheres of the brain, they say. So you're going to block the right nostril. So inhale left, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right, 2, 3, 4. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4. Exhale left, 2, 3, 4. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right, 2, 3, 4. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4. Exhale left, 2, 3, 4. Just see if you could do a few rounds on your own, counting in your head. Finish on a left exhale. When you finish, you can just keep your eyes closed. We're going to do a very short little meditation. So I want you to have your feet flat on the floor, so you feel grounded. And I want you to imagine you are a tree. And you're going to follow my voice as you explore your tree. So you are grounded. You are connected to the earth through your roots. They are as big and as strong as your branches. They go deep into the earth. Every time you face challenges in your life, your roots have grown deeper. Your roots allow you to stand tall, be flexible, move with the wind and the weather. Now, move up the trunk of your tree. Take a moment to think about your strengths, all the rings of growth that are beneath the bark, the signs of your growth, but also all the years of slow growth show in your bark. Maybe it's gnarly and knotty, or maybe smooth and sleek. What are you particularly good at? Being strong, being flexible, being aware of what's around you. Let's keep going. We've reached your branches. Are they stretching up to the sun and the sky? Do you have leaves, even fruit? Your branches represent your hopes and dreams, your outreach, your offering. Now, take a moment to imagine what tree you are. Are you an oak tree, an apple tree, a pine tree, another kind of tree? Just sit for a minute with that tree, feeling your strong roots, all your strengths in your trunk, and your branches reaching for the sky. Okay, you can open your eyes and you can just take a minute to write down whatever tree you felt you are. You don't have to share it with me, just write down I'm an oak, I'm an apple tree, whatever it is, whatever has meaning to you. Okay. Morning, Matt. We
Hello,
just did a little, we did a little meditation about being a tree. So you're just going to do it without the meditation. So, and don't say it out loud, but if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? So you don't have to share it yet. You can just write it on a piece of paper. So an oak, an apple, a Japanese tree or something. So yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do this morning is we're going to explore what we how to find your brand voice. So I just want to ask you to put in the chat what you think a brand voice is, and then we'll have a little look. Sorry, what you think a brand is. So what's a brand to you? And you can write in the chat what you think a brand is. And perhaps that's a difficult question, so if you're not very sure, don't worry. So what does a brand mean to you? Not so, okay, an authentic representation of what you offer. Yes, nice, Matt. So I think one thing when we think about a brand, we think a logo and colours and things like that. And that's perhaps the easiest part is to figure out colours and logo. But I think what we're interested in is the brand values and the brand mission, maybe things like that. So Deleda has put brand is an icon representative of the inner dynamic. Yes, nice. So what I want you to realize is you are already your brand. So if we take the example of Delida, who's been my friend for a very long time, before she had the Beijing Mindfulness Center, she already had the values that she then used to create the Beijing Mindfulness Center. And now that that doesn't exist physically anymore, she took the same values and the same mission and taken those to the BMC Academy. So if you are a coach, you are already your own brand. So actually it's a lot easier because you just take your own values and your own mission and you put that into your brand. So let's just keep that idea of you are your brand and you have your values in you. Okay, Chiling, never thought of that briefly. I think it's a representation of my value. Exactly. So it's the things that are important to you and it's the things you don't want to do. So that's the cool thing. When you're a coach, you're your own brand, you finally get to take your own values to the market. So we're going to go deeper into this, but let's have a look at the other side of the coin. So if you're your own brand, who is your perfect client? That's quite a scary question. So who's your perfect client? Matt, you should be able to answer this. Yeah, everyone makes that face. So yeah, perhaps you can say who's your perfect client, but who's not your perfect client. Because sometimes it's easier to think of the person that wouldn't match your style of work or what you do. So you can put in the chat who your perfect client is or the kind of person you want to work with. Yes, Matt says one with a growth mindset. Absolutely love that. Yep. So, yeah, open to change and meeting their growth edge. Ooh, nice expression. So, Deleda's put curious, open minded, wants to look inside. Yeah, open to and interested in self exploration. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of my not perfect client. So I work with women, particularly women, also some men, but women who are very stressed, who are burnt out, who often come from a toxic work environment. So they're usually heading towards 60 and they're in a company that decides they want to get rid of them, and so they're pushed out. Sometimes they're in the process of taking their employer to tribunal, so they're very stressed. And so my perfect client is that scenario. So my not perfect client is someone who wants to buy their headspace, buy their tranquility. So an example of that would be you're very distressed and you say, oh, I'm going to go on a spa weekend. I'm going to go and I'm going to have a massage. And it's all about, in my mind, it's like buying the tranquilities, buying the release, buying the headspace. And they still haven't dealt with anything that's inside. They're just going and having some kind of bodily relief to help release the stress. And there is a place for that. But after the weekend of that not perfect client, they're going to go home and they've still got the tribunal, they've still got their terrible manager, they've still got all the problems inside. So I also want to look for someone who wants to make the changes inside themselves. So that's how I can tell when people approach me whether that's the right person to work with me. So Chiling put open to and interested in self-exploration, exactly. So I think we have to understand what our values are, but we have to also know what we don't want. So I would never call myself a luxury retreat. I'm not about luxury. I'm not about throwing money at a situation. I'm about inviting people to look inside and to become independent, to be curious. So I know that nowadays we do a lot of our coaching online. So it's kind of quite hard to think about how would you want to welcome your client, because it's a Zoom room, probably. There's only so much we can do with a Zoom room. So I'm going to go a little bit old-fashioned. And what I want to do is I want you to imagine that I have given you $10,000 and you're going to create the waiting room, or you're going to create a space, just like Dalida created the Beijing Mindfulness Center. You're going to create a physical space that your client is going to arrive in. Perhaps it's a waiting room and then you've got an office. A bit like when you go to the dentist, I suppose, and you're welcome, there's a receptionist. So what I want you to do is to take just 5 minutes writing on your own. How do you want your client to feel? How do you want to welcome them? What elements are you going to use? Maybe you want them to feel excited and energetic. Maybe you want them to feel tranquil. So I want you to think about, if you were creating, because I had to do this with my house, so I think it's a very good exercise. So 5 minutes, so it's 10-2 for me. So in 5 minutes, just take a few minutes to jot down how you want them to feel. Is there anything sensory, like is there a smell or other plants, or, yeah. And now I'm going to be quiet so you can do that. So you also have to be ready to say why you want to give them that feeling or that welcome or that vibe, that style. So just get that ready too. You should be able to defend your choice. So I'm going to ask Dalida to put us in breakout groups. So you can put me with someone, Dalida, and I'll work with whichever person I'm put in with. And then we'll discuss. So in the breakout group, present your waiting room or your vibe, explain how you want your client to feel, etc., and then switch. So do it with each other. And the one who's listening can say, well, why is that? Why do you want this? Try and probe each other a little bit, okay?
Let me just see if, because one person has to stay in the main room, but maybe my AI
Yeah.
can be that.
Well, if it doesn't work, we can always just do all of us together. But I think it's nice to go one-to-one on this.
Yeah, I can't go.
Understand
Yeah, I can't go as the host, so somebody
create
needs
habit.
to.
Okay, well, so perhaps we just do it like this between all of us. So Matt, you're speaking. Do you want to go first?
Okay. So an actual room came to mind that I've been to before, so it was fairly simple for me. I would like the feeling of outside inside. So I'd like to have the sense of nature inside. So obviously some plants, maybe a bit similar to Feng Shui, have some water running somewhere, have some water there that brings the outside in. And then I wrote down fresh air. I love having my window open, for example. However, then I said, well, but I need some fragrance, I need some aroma, because I want to have a calming space. So, you know, maybe there's some lavender smell or something like that being generated. I would always want people to have a choice of where to sit. So maybe there would be a nice sofa, maybe a hard chair, maybe somewhere to stand. We don't often see standing areas in waiting rooms or where we're going to have. So maybe somewhere for people to stand if they want to. Obviously, then I went to the kind of audio perspective. So music, but just gentle music in the background. Again, nature inside, maybe some birds and something like that. I would want to have some artifacts or some things that posed some questions to that person.
Yeah.
So while they're sitting trying to work out what to do, they can choose some stimulus somewhere. A nice cool temperature between 23 and 24. Bridget, I saw your radiators on Saturday. And
yeah.
I'm from the UK, so I've also had that feeling sometimes where it's too hot.
Yeah.
So I would do that. And my final thing was really, the whole thing was to give the opportunity for somebody to come into the present moment, for them to leave the outside, if you like, just to be present and have the opportunity to be mindful for a few moments.
Amazing. Have Dalida or Chiling got any questions or any comments? I want to go to this room.
I better create it.
You know, I don't know exactly how it is happening, but it's almost like, did you take my room?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of that resonated, and I actually created 2 rooms because I was really creating that indoor, and the whole thing about the outdoor came in, and then I just moved outdoor completely. But as you were sharing, I was like, wow, it's like that's exactly what that initial idea was. It's amazing.
I love the way you said you wanted to bring the outside in, but then you wanted them to leave the outside outside. I don't know if you realise you said that.
So like an image of it. It's like something to post to a designer, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want the outside inside, but I want the inside. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they have to leave the outside outside. Yeah, I remember when I started doing my yoga teacher training, our teacher used to say, leave leave all your thoughts of the day at the door. And in my mind, I drew a cartoon with like this doorway full of, clouds of thoughts where people had just sort of went, okay, I leave my thoughts at the door. Great. No, that was really fab. Qiling, do you want to share your waiting
Sure,
room
sure. Waiting room. Uh, I was
or
actually
space?
designing the maybe coaching room, something like that. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, I have a really great role model. Like just remember BMC, the yard. I think
yeah.
the most not most, the very impressive things like two really giant comfortable chair in front of each other make you like a no, how do you say that, leading role, something like that. You're
Mm-hmm.
the leading role of this session.
Yeah,
Chair
yeah,
is so nice, comfortable, stable there, and I think that's the first thing I would like to have. And the second thing is also from another yoga teacher of mine. He's Bruno in Beijing. I don't know if you met him or not. He has this altar that have this smell of sand and his own belief. Of course, I was just avoiding the religious part because I'm doing the mindfulness coach, but
yeah,
all these things that brings me joyful, like my symbol as well, I would like to put there as well in the altar. I think this one I would also put in this room to remind me and reminds the guest of this value, this faith, each thing. And
yeah,
the third is also something for the guest to provoke some thought. I would think of the painting,
yeah,
like I remember I get a painting that is based on the story the leader told me. It's three tigers, and there is a branch and a rat, and the people are hanging there, just like in the moment of in between these disasters, we have some time to breathe in and smell the flowers, something like that.
yeah.
And yeah, that would be the three elements that I would like to bring to the session.
Beautiful. I want to welcome Joanna. Joanna, if you want to put your camera on, that would be great, at least just to show your face to say hello, unless for some reason you can't, which I know that can happen sometimes. Ah,
Hi,
okay.
Bridget. Hi. So lovely to meet you. Sorry, I'm just in between meetings, but I'm listening.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so, but like, it's very busy background. That's why I'm just like having my camera off. If it's okay, I don't want to be a disruption for the call. It'll be moving in the background. I'm
Okay.
intently listening.
Okay, great. Well, we're
Yeah,
talking
so
about
please forgive me.
what we feel our brand would be if we had a physical space at the moment. Yeah. Okay, great. Has
Thank
anyone
you.
got any comments on Qiling's?
Chilling, I have a question. You talked about two large chairs, but the interesting insight was they were facing each other. So what would that create for you, and what are you wanting to create by having them facing each other?
There are the chairs for coach and coach. And when I sit in the chair of the coachee, I felt I was totally, I have all the attention and all the focus. And because facing each other, but they're not very close, I feel I have space of my own. And the chair was it's a sofa. It's like so big, stable. I find I occupy this space very safe for me.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting there is very often we avoid that face to face, but your value there was it shows that you're all focused on each other. That was a really powerful, for me, that's a really powerful insight and the benefit of being face on. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's wonderful. If I had to sort of do a resume of what you said you wanted to actually you want to challenge people, you want to give them choice, you want them to feel comfortable. You want to stimulate them. You want them to feel in the present moment. So we can already see that you have opinions, you have values. Like Matt's was very different to Qiling's, and it was equally different to Dalida, even though we've all got maybe a common theme. So this is basically how you start to figure out what your brand is about. It's how do you want to welcome your clients? How do you want to work with them? So, okay, we've gone to a physical space, and we're probably none of us will have a physical space. But the point is that it's made you realize that you have got opinions, and you have got you have got a way that you want to work with people. So sadly, we're going to have to leave our beautiful coaching rooms, which I would love to visit. And just
Can I share mine, because
oh,
it's a
sorry, I thought
different
yes,
one.
of
Yeah.
course. Sorry, Dalida.
I just overlapped with Matt's,
yes.
but I actually realize as I'm transitioning now into even the question, who is my perfect client? Because after stepping out of BMC and how the vision really changes, depending on who my client is, my waiting room changes completely as well. And I suddenly realized, like, hold on, I really, my clients are not as much anymore individuals. I actually want clients to be groups of people coming, and immediately the retreat center came in rather than room for one-on-one. So it's basically students who want to learn about coaching and coming for a retreat. So it's, that element of I want nature in the room, in the waiting room, actually suddenly became a garden where people can just freely go and be in the garden and go and sit by the lake, or there are animals that will approach them and they can choose to be alone or not. So there are trees, there are plants, of course, there's a stream as well. And then there's also a space where they can kind of like pick up information about various projects that are going on in the area, so they can get inspired about the bigger context and kind of like become future focused.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
So I've added inspiration to I've done a little word cloud kind of thing.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
could not
thank
share
you. Sorry,
that.
I didn't mean to not invite you to share. Thank you.
No.
So, I mean, you've all got opinions, you've all got a sense of yourself that you want to bring to your work and bring to your brand. So now let's go the other side. Let's think about your clients. So all of us four are coaches already, but we all work with very different people. And how can our clients find us? Because if there's 1,000 clients out there looking for coaches, how are we going to show that we're different? It's not about being better. It's not about being the best coach or a master coach. It's about being the right coach for your perfect client. So Dalida's logo is the keyhole, isn't it, for the BMC? So it's the keyhole. And so it's almost like the key and the keyhole need to match. So if we have the wrong key, then it won't open the lock. So let's say the lock is in the coachee, and then we are the key that helps them unlock themselves. Yes. So I just want us to think a little bit about, because we're going to do some writing in a minute, about how our clients find us. So I did a quick review of this is how clients find us. I think one is you work for an agency. So you're a coach and you work for an agency as a freelance coach, and perhaps you have a profile on their website. You can scroll through those websites and you can look for all kinds of different styles of coaches. What's going to make your perfect client stop and take a look at you? I mean, sometimes it's the photo, sometimes it's the headline. So that's one place. And maybe you have a chemistry call. One place is LinkedIn that Dalida was talking about. So, in LinkedIn, there's the search box. We can put in coach, maybe Beijing or maybe Asia or mindfulness or whatever kind of coach. I mean, I know Matt seems to have many different coaching skills. So perhaps someone's going to read your LinkedIn profile, and how are they going to work out what kind of a person you are? How are they going to know, oh, I might have a call with that person, or that appeals to me? They're only going to know because you've written something on your profile. You've written a little bit of what you talked about this beautiful challenge, choice, comfort, stimulus, present. You've written about that in your profile. And the final way, well, there may be other ways, is you have your own website, which is really, to me, the most beautiful way of having a place where your clients can come and see who you are. So on your own website, then you usually have an About Us page or a Why Us page, and you get to plan everything. I mean, LinkedIn is very restricting, you know, you've just got text. So if we start to think about how your client is going to find you, you really need to let them know who you are, don't you? Otherwise, how can they choose? I mean, if I went to look at Matt's LinkedIn, so I get an idea of his corporate background, etc. And correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. But you know, if I was in corporate, or if I was an organisation or HR looking for that kind of coach, I've already got a clear idea. Whereas if I look at the leaders, it's going to be a very different vibe again, even though we're all being coached by Delida to become mindfulness-based coaches. So I think one of the things that people find difficult is to write about themselves. I mean, who likes writing about themselves? Put your hand up. Exactly. Oh, Matt does. Most people don't like writing about yourselves. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said who doesn't like. No, I don't.
Exactly. Well, I don't. I came from the language industry and I spent my whole career writing and speaking. So even I don't. But the thing is, when you write to attract clients, you do write about yourself, but you're actually writing about the client. You're always writing so that when they read it, they're learning something, or there's something in it for them. So what I want us to do now is a little bit explore our backstories, because this is the most beautiful part of having your own business. Is you get to take your previous career and then combine it with your coaching, which is freedom, independence, all the beautiful things you said. You get to fuse those two. And that's how we become the coaches we are. So what we're going to do now is spend 5 minutes first on our own, thinking about what we have in our backstory that's going to support our clients. So I'm going to give you an example from my career, because maybe that makes it easier. So, you know, I come from I call it the language industry. I spent my whole career writing everyone else's words, translating their words, interpreting their words at conferences, you know, from training sessions to very important people, let's say, talking. And I think, and I was trained to be an interpreter, so I was trained to listen, I was trained to listen to the choice of vocab, I was trained to copy their style, the tone. So I spent a huge amount of time just bathing in words of different languages, but also understanding different cultures, because that's how you are a good interpreter, is being able to slide. For me, it was French and English, so sliding between French and English. So I think one of my strengths as a coach is that I have this language-based past, and I'm very, very aware of the words that people use. And because this is the way my ear has been trained. So I think it makes me a good listener, but also it makes me able to reflect back to people the words they use. So you know how in coaching, and Delida does this with me, she says, what I hear you're saying is, and that's what we do, isn't it, as coaches, is we take on board their vocab and we listen to how they express what they're feeling, then we tell it back to them, and then we ask them to explore. I mean, a very simplified version of coaching. So I think no one cares that I was a coach for the UN or NATO. Who cares? No one cares if I'm a good interpreter or not. No one cares about my language skills. That's not what I'm selling. I've done that, sold those, had a great career. But what my clients are going to care about is, can I listen to them? Can I understand their message? Can I help them find how to express themselves? So I think that's a really key part of my backstory. So what I want you to do is take 5 minutes to find something in your backstory that is about you, but is also about your perfect client. Right, and I'm noting the time, and you've got like 5 minutes to have a little, I think actually, no, let's do about 8 minutes, and then we will just stay in the one group. We won't do breakout groups because we can't break out. So 8 minutes, so it's 8:11 for me. So that's going to be at nearly 20 past. And if you're not sure and you want to ask a question before you start, please do. You've got a few more minutes. Okay. I'm sorry if you can hear a clicking sound. It's that my trackpad on my laptop. It has to be clicked, it can't be tapped. Usually I have an external trackpad when I'm at home, so apologies if there's a lot of clicking going on. It's the sounds of my brains, Delida. It's the cogs. Okay, you all look like you were writing, so you obviously got things to say. Who wants to go first? Who wants to share something that they've figured out in their backstory? Jiling, do you want to go?
So my educational background and the past work is legal. I'm in-house legal. So I think the best benefit I get from it is that I get to understand the situation pretty quick, more in a legal way. Even I didn't experience by myself, but I had a lot of case study, so I understand the legal part, and also I can quickly identify in situation whose responsibility it is. And
So why is that useful to your client? What kind of client do you work with then as a coach?
it's not much in the case, but in the family, like sometimes in the family situation, and because the power of family members, I think for this, not necessarily they're involved in the legal situation, but understand the dynamic of the power between people, and also because in the law we also study the internal intention and external consequence, something like that. It's like a normal training for us to understand in this right and responsibility way.
Okay,
And
so how can you communicate that to your perfect client? How can they read that? And because that's quite unusual what you've just said. So you're not just a lawyer you're not a lawyer who's bringing a legal background. You're trying to explain to us that this legal background has given you what that helps your client. So far, you've just told me your backstory, but you haven't really made the connection with how that's going to help your perfect client pick you. Do you see the difference?
Right. Yes. Mm. I think it's a little bit challenging because it kind of relate to this background training of, I think in law school or in a politic, if you study politics, you also have this training of the power dynamic in between the family and in the group. And also coaching, I think it requires another level of sensitivity towards this power dynamic, not only for the right and obligation. And for me, this one is just for I would present myself as I have this on my mind, this right obligation part on my mind.
Yes.
And it can gets me into a maybe give a pretty unique perspective to understand things. And yeah, I think that part can be one of these.
Yeah. But do you see how you need to do the kind of interpretation between what you think you've learned, what you have learned from your past career and all the strengths and this power dynamics and everything, and perhaps a strategic legal mind and how that can help your coachee? So there's like a bridge, and your job is to interpret why this experience is going to help them. I mean, you don't have to do it right now because I've put you on the spot, but this is the point of how you find the clients you want to work with, the perfect client. So the one, if you're interested by power dynamics and interested in bringing your legal mind to your coaching, well, then you want to have coachees that are going to benefit from that and who want to work with that kind of person. Do you see what I mean? So now you've got to be able to speak about that. That's going to be part of your brand story, is this is where I came from, this is what I can bring, and this is how it helps you. Do you see what I mean? It's like the 3 phases. Anyway, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, sorry, I have a question towards it because this one is what I'm thinking of. But what actually my clients already benefit is only the ability of, I think a lot of law school students have, is to bring back to the topic. No matter how far you go, you just bring back to the topic. This is already all of my clients told me I have this ability.
Yes.
But not what I'm thinking my background can provide me. So it's kind of, I get it from the feedback. And I think, should I just taking the feedback to, to use it as a material, or I actually think like I assume it happens like that?
I think both. I think you know the skills. You think you know how they can benefit your perfect client, but your perfect clients are already telling you. I often say things, clients tell me I'm blah, blah, blah. There's nothing wrong with that. Clients enjoy working with me because I was an entrepreneur or I had a business background, or that's absolutely brilliant. And then the client who is looking for what your other perfect clients have said is going to be like, yeah, that's me. Or they're going to be, yeah, that's not me. I don't want to work about power dynamics. So that's the point of this match with the perfect client. There will be the perfect clients. They're like magnets. They are drawn to you. And there'll be the ones who you don't want to work with and who don't want to work with you. And that's great as well. That's what people don't realize. We don't want to work with everyone. We only want to work with the perfect client. Okay? That was great. See how you have to really delve deep and put yourself in the shoes of the client, and then look back at what you're offering and see really everything you've lived, Chilling, everything you've done at law school and in your job is part of your brand. Yeah? Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Right, Delida, I'm going to go you first. I'm going to invite you next.
Well, I just thank you, Bridget. It's really, and it's also very nice to hear from Chilling, because it's the field that it doesn't relate to me, but when I hear how it comes together, it's like, of course, it makes sense to me when I hear 2 of you working. So then it brings even closer where I am at. I really put just words together, and there's such a diversity. It's such a vast experience of my China life. I feel like I had at least 3 different lives, and I don't know how many different careers there as well.
Yeah.
But then, so I first realization was, I mean, at this point, unless I really want to work only with Chinese clients, when I say I've been in China, I worked in China, it's not the biggest selling point. I mean, it's not something that people will say, oh, because of that, I really want to work with you, unless they have interest in China. So then that is very, very interesting realization at the moment. So, but I realized, what did I get from China? So I was asking from that life, I asked myself those questions. And the list is unexhaustible, I think, but I went into mentioning words like cultural diversity, or exposure to cultural diversity. Being open-minded because of that, like the variety of people, or just meeting. Then working with groups, then insight into leadership challenges as well. I worked as an executive coach, and I learned the most from those clients who were just telling me the insights of their life that I actually never had and never worked in a corporate to be familiar with that. Then insight into how to make difficult decisions. That was probably another really big experience of working with that profile of clients, especially those who are different nationalities and managing China team as well. Then connection with nature, all my martial arts practice and the principles of traditional Chinese medicine, and is basically how to slow down in order to bring the strength forward. So all my training was in a slow speed, because that's what internal martial arts are, but to develop the inner power, right? So these are some words I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's very interesting if I play around that. And then about wisdom, Taoist practices, Buddhism, calm, and these things. Like I almost went a little bit before the whole mindfulness journey. I feel like I'm more connected with those words. I tapped into my life before that. So what happened? How was really my life before 2009, right? So the healing, self-healing, like how do you learn to listen to your body, interoceptive awareness, and all of that. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Because I think, thank you for sharing. So when you were talking at the beginning about your, you know, you work with corporate, but you weren't from corporate, you know, you're kind of, that's, to me, that was the normal coaching speak. This is my background. And then we started getting into all the really differences about you. You know, this beautiful thing where you said about slowness, then I'm like, yes, I could feel myself leaning in. And it's not to say that you shouldn't mention that you're an executive coach, because that is a real selling point for people who want to work with someone that's worked at the executive level. But you can see how suddenly, when you started to go into your other areas, this is the difference about you, Dalida, you know? So this is, I think, how, if you want to attract clients that are interested in that, then you've got to talk about that, you see? And it was lovely. I mean, just the vocab you used, I'm already like, if I was a bit of a high flyer and everything was rushing past me and I knew I needed to connect to myself more and take time, I'd be like, I want to work with Dalida because she's got the word slowness and interoception, and you know, so yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
I also, from your feedback, I'm actually taking another part. Is like, yeah, it's okay. I can say I was as an executive coach, and that says who I was when I was working with clients. But what you're really saying is touching you, that I hear, is when I was a student, when I was the client, what was I learning as a student there? And I think that part I'm still trying to put together, but this really helps to hear how it's received. Thank you.
Does anyone else want to make a comment on what Dalida shared? Thank you, Dalida.
Thank you for
Okay.
giving me some more thoughts for mine as well. So that was very interesting to hear that process of how, again, it's differentiation. So thank you.
Yeah. Right. Well, Matt, you're on the spot now. The microphone is yours. Let's hear how
Well,
it was.
I fell into actually, this has got me thinking some really quite deep questions, because I'm transitioning out of a corporate life. And so, and I kind of started with, I'm a corporate leader, but then I went into, the story of how I went through the journey of authenticity. And I went on that journey and I found how I could be even a better leader. I also, about my mindfulness journey and how that shifted my life. So it's kind of talking about how I've got that experience, so now I can support others. I then started to think about who I am. I'm a husband, father, son. I'm away from home. So there was kind of, how do I build that in to resonate with people? Because where I live, there are lots of people who are not from around these parts.
Yes.
Then I started to talk about how then I started to then go back towards the kind of rational left brain side around leadership. But then, Delita, something you said around that cultural diversity, that Australia is a very strange place, because Australia, I don't think Australians are very open to other cultures, believe it or not. And I think I've got that experience where I've been in that space. So how do I add out? I'm going to steal your values, that you're open-minded, more open-minded maybe to different.
Yeah.
Different ways. So that's kind of where I went, but it's very left brain corporate, and I was different.
I don't know if you're breaking up for anyone else, but you were a little bit breaking up for me at the end there, so I didn't hear everything.
It was breaking up. I think when there is that passionate engagement with our hands, Zoom doesn't really take it very well. It tends to kind of like want to follow your hands.
Yeah. So
there were
Matt,
some
I'm going to switch it around with you. Who is your perfect client? Not necessarily where you said at the beginning, someone who wants to look inwards and who has a growth mindset, but what kind of person do you want to attract? Because if you can't find a clear message around what you bring from corporate into what you do now, you're just going to attract corporate, and that might be what you want to do, but it might not be. Do you see what I mean? I don't know. Have we lost Matt? I don't know. Matt, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So did you hear my question? So you've really got to figure out these distinct elements that you're going to use to attract the people that you want to work with. Otherwise, we're just hearing like your corporate background, and I think there's much more depth that you can find in that to think about who the perfect client is.
I agree, and that's what's got me reflecting quite strongly. Is I'm at the moment being very logical about rational, and so I need to shift away from that and think about that ideal client. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Can I
So has
ask a
anyone else got
question?
anything to comment on how you find these elements in your backstory and interpret them? That's the main thing, or transpose them, or write them in another way so that your potential future client can relate. Because we want to attract the right client and we want to detract, we want to push away the wrong client. We want that key in the lovely BMC lock. We want to be the key that undoes the lock. Yeah?
I have a question for Matt, or maybe an observation. There was one part of the story that really sparkled my curiosity, but there was not much information, and that is the journey of authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. So that is where I would really want to hear more, not how necessarily the whole story, but what are the elements? Is there something there?
Yeah. Did you hear that, Matt? I think Matt's having problems with his internet.
Mm.
Anyway, so
I
we've
must
got 20.
apologise. My line, I've gone to try and fix it, so I missed most of that. But I'll watch the record.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Matt, for Matt's put in the chat. So building on our waiting room discussion, I am left asking, how can we incorporate the elements in our coaching room, waiting room into a landing page? Okay, so this is the big reveal now. So I didn't want to show you my website at the beginning because I didn't want to pollute. I always say pollute. I didn't want to affect how you would think about your own brand. So if you don't mind now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share how I took the elements that I wanted to offer my clients into something, let's say, virtual. So I'm going to share my screen. I think you need to make me co-host, Leader. Sorry, there'll be a bit of clicking. Okay, great, thank you. Ooh, it won't let me share my screen. Huh.
Can you try now?
Okay, it's asking me to open my system preferences, which seems weird.
Okay. Maybe I can go on. I think that will take a little bit of a little.
Okay, all right. Well,
I can
just
share
go on the
you.
homepage and then I'll guide you from there, I guess. It's not
Yeah.
the way I would have liked it, but anyway, let's do it that way.
Yes.
We're flexible.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on the. Where do you want me to go? To the main page?
Just go to the home. Yeah, click the logo.
Yes.
Okay, so if I had done the waiting room thing, just stay on that one for now. So my perfect client is very stressed, very anxious, probably at the end of a terrible journey. Perhaps no one listens to them, perhaps they don't know what to do. They've often been to their doctor, they've often got maybe some medication to help with stress or anxiety. Perhaps they're not sleeping. So it's a very physical experience for them, and they're at the end. And so I decided that my waiting room or my landing page would be very clean, spacious, and only black and white. And just like they would arrive and it would be like, it's not overwhelming, I hope. So, and this is my artwork. So if you just want to slowly scroll down, Dalida, we'll be able to see. So everything on the home page is black and white. And it's all written to them. So it's all about you. So retreat yourself and this feeling of, you're looking after yourself. And just keep scrolling gently, Dalida. And then every title is about them. So retreat yourself, boost your wellness. And then I explain a little bit and just keep going. You're doing perfectly, Dalida. Perfect me. So I live in a place called Norfolk, which is quite well known, and it's very beautiful and wild. It's the countryside. So this idea of Norfolk is very famous for big skies and space. So this is the home page. And I want to reassure people, and I want people to feel, not feel overwhelmed. Okay, you can stop there. So as an example, I had a coach who came to work with me. So I work with people one-to-one. They come and stay in my little house for 2 days, or they come as part of a small group, so 1 to 2 or 3. And this woman who works in academia. She's a coach for professors, etc. She said, I just kept coming back to your website. I'm a very visual person, and I just kept coming back, and I thought, I want to work with the person who created this. And when I heard that, I went, yes, this is what I want. I want my art and my writing to make people want to connect with me. So, Dalida, can you just go down to the footer? Go all the way down to the footer. But just scroll down the page. Yeah, just keep going all the way to the bottom. So this is my blog. Don't worry about that. Just keep going all the way to the footer. And then there's Why Us. Can you click on Why Us in the middle? Yeah, that's it. Click on Why Us. So I'm very, very, for me, it's very important who I work with. So if I was going to work with a coach, I would do a lot of research. I would look at their LinkedIn, their website. I would find everything. I'd look at what they'd written. So don't play the video. So there's obviously a video, so you can just scroll past that. I mean, obviously, you can go back and watch it in your own time. Watching videos on Zoom is never a very good idea. So, and then you can stop at what drives us. I think backstory is very important, and I think if you're a coach, it's exceedingly important, because people need to want to choose you. They need to say, I want to work with Bridget because I like the fact she worked in China, I like the fact she's an entrepreneur, or I like the fact she loves the outdoors, and we do a lot of work outdoors. So I think it's very important to really explain who you are and explain things that you love, because that helps people connect with you, because they love those things too. So I always say that my two loves are business, that's my past career, and wellness. And when I put my business life and being an entrepreneur in France and China and Colombia and all the places I've lived with all the wellness skills, then that makes what I offer, in that I love working with business women. I'm probably not that interested in working with a woman who's never worked, who's been a mother at home. Nothing against them, it's just not my vibe. I just don't see what I bring. I mean, I'm a mother, I have 3 grown-up children, but that is not my perfect client. My perfect client is having issues at work, or in a toxic environment, or about to retire and doesn't know how to take all their experience from their work life into their new life. Because I work with a lot of women that are transitioning often from being pushed out of their job or retiring into what's next. So could you just scroll down a little bit more? So obviously this is not the first time I wrote just stop there. This is not the first time I wrote this, it's changed, but I always try to write so that people can feel empathy with me, or it can resonate. So I write about, because at 50, my last child left home, so I write about being a mother. I think that's important. And Matt said earlier that he's a father and a husband, and I think that's important. You know, if that's something you want to bring and share, then you need to write about that. So in the way I've presented myself, I talk about my feeling lost, my feeling burnt out, going traveling, my finding myself, and then wanting to share my skills with other people. So I think that was a very important part for me. And I know that people have read my page, because they say, oh, I see you lived in China. So I know that they've read that and that they've related to that. I was going to show some other pages, but I think you can all go and explore. But I think my style of writing is, I want to challenge people. I don't want to give them orders. I don't want to say, you should get up and do half an hour of yoga and half an hour of breathing and have mini breaks in the day, even though this is what I write about. What I want is to challenge them, but I want to be fun. So I feel an incredible freedom in my new business, and in being able to write what I like, what I love. I talk a lot about my practices, but I always think about my client. I don't say, oh, I just did this, look at me, I'm great. I said, I did this, I learned this about myself. Maybe you can learn something, or maybe, you know, these are the things that you could learn, or you could practice with. So this, Matt, is how I translated my vibe into a website. I do have photos as well. If you, I know, Dunida, perhaps look at the retreats page, the second, that tab, just the first one, Norfolk Retreats. So even though the first page is black and white, and it's it's not particularly personal. It's meant to feel soothing, and they're meant to feel, okay, someone hears me. Then if you can scroll down to leader, this is literally about the retreats. So this is what I do. All the photos are mine, obviously. I said I would never use a photo from a photo library. Get rid of that. Yeah, so this is about what they get if they come and work with me. And because I live by the sea, outdoors, like Matt and like Dalida, is a huge part of my work. So I actually work with people outdoors. You can just keep scrolling slowly, Dalida. Yeah, I work with people outdoors. I take them down to the beach. I have 5 pillars I work with, which is mind, body, breath, food, and nature. So everything I write about comes under one of those 5 pillars, and how they all interrelate. How I use nature for my mindfulness, or food is a huge part as well of what I do. I want to inspire people to eat well, to understand that vegetarian food is delicious and tasty. And obviously I share a lot of the feedback. I've been doing this for 4 years, so I think I've run 30 retreats or something colossal. So I have a lot of feedback. And I think that's important, because people say, oh, I read that someone wrote that, your food is great. And I read that someone wrote they love the fact that we have this big section of time at the beach, and they love the balance. So I know that people read that. Yeah, you can stop there, Dalida. So I don't want to rub it on too much. Has anyone got any questions or comments, or you can, maybe you can stop sharing, Dalida, so we all go back. Yeah. That's how I translated what I do anyway. So has anyone got anything that they want to ask, or
I have a question.
how did I
know
get
we
that?
Yeah, I know we talked a lot about this, but was something I'm curious. And you mentioned already that for your bio it took different times, and this is the latest version. And and website as well. Like, what is this? Did you have kind of like, is this exactly how you thought it from the beginning, or were you been changing?
The only difference is at the beginning, I did use a designer who helped me do that logo with the 7 colors. So 7 colors of the chakras, or 7 colors of the rainbow, whichever way you want to look at it. I did have this very strong impression that I wanted something uncluttered, not corporate, soothing, tranquil, inviting. I wanted people to look at the photos and go, damn, I want to go there. I mean, if you live in London and it's all hectic, like living in Beijing, and then someone shows you the sea and the countryside and being on the beach, I mean, would you rather find yourself there, or, in some kind of conference room? Because you've got to think who I'm competing with. Where could my clients go? They can ask their HR to put them on a mindfulness course or a stress management course. It's probably going to be indoors. Or, they can go away. The other competition is they take themselves on a spa weekend. They go away with their girlfriends. But nothing resolves the inner issues. So my idea is I bring you, number one, out of your life, so away from all your family and parents and work. So I give you a break from your environment, put you in a different environment, take care of everything, and then I take you outdoors and invite you to reflect. And people have said they literally feel their problems lifting because of being in that space. So that is what I wanted to take, what Norfolk offers, and put it into the website. The only difference is at the beginning the drawings weren't my own, they were done by the designer. And then when I felt I had enough confidence, I redid that homepage and put my own drawings. Yeah, has anyone else?
And did you do the website alone as well, or did you hire?
No, so I hired someone to help me create. They do they make the pages in AI, in something else, in a kind of design software, and then you find a coder. So I use WordPress because I love WordPress and I already used it. And so they help build it. I put in all the content, and then I have a guy, he's a freelancer who lives in Macedonia or somewhere, and he's the coder and he helps me. But mainly I can do it all myself now. But the thing you've got to realize about a website is the only thing with a newsletter that you own that no one can take from you, because LinkedIn can shut you down, Instagram can take it away. I had a professional photography friend who lost his whole Instagram account because it was hacked, and you know, but no one can take your website. No one gets to edit it, make any comments about it. You get to write what you like, to be who you like, to use that as your playground. And to me, that's fantastic. And then your newsletter is the other thing that no one can take. That's your database. You know, I only write once a month, but people read your newsletter. You know, you'd be amazed. So yeah, is this resonating with people, trying to get who you are, what you've done, the vibes from your waiting room, and building that into your mission, and it's reflecting your values, and then making that into something like a website? Matt's giving us a thumbs up. Yeah, so the last thing I want to do, I might have to share with my, because I've got a photo. So when Dalida and I were preparing this, and we were discussing ideas about how we try and explain taking your values and your mission and turning it into something you could write about, Dalida, of course, being infused with nature, said, oh, why don't we ask them, you know, if you were something in nature, what would it be? Would you be a rock or a stream or a tree? And then we said, oh, a tree, how fab. What tree would you be? And I said immediately, didn't I, Dalida? I know what tree I would be. I'd be a palm tree, because I have drawn so many palm trees in Asia. And I love palm trees because they have messy hair like me. You know, they have all that mad sort of waviness. I think they're very strong and flexible. So because I can't share my stuff, I'm going to put a photo hopefully in the chat, and you can see this photo that it's actually from Australia, Matt. If I can find it, hang on a minute. Oh yeah, there we go. It's called I Want to Be a Palm Tree, isn't it? So yeah, if you want to open that. So this is what I drew. I think it's 2016. I was in Queensland, and I put, I want to be a palm tree. Did I put? Yes. Wild, free, and flexible. So I want to ask you all, what tree are you? What did you put? Does anyone want to share? Dalida, what tree did you write at the beginning?
My whole session was like, I go in one direction and then I have 3 trees.
Oh,
There's
my God.
but they're very specific trees. It's like, it's not as a kind, but a tree that I really made a connection with. I think it's called is the with ones with the white bark, they're called birch. Is that
Yeah,
birch?
yeah.
No, yeah. So
Yeah.
I like birch trees, but there are 2 others. One is there's a Bodhi tree that Thich Nhat Hanh planted in the Thai north, the practice center in the north of Thailand.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing the way how it feels, and it's like so round and welcoming into the shade. Basically, that's what it is. And another one, I live very close to a national park, and
Yeah.
there's one bar on the beach. It's called the Freedom Bar, and behind it there is this massive tree that also envelops the whole restaurant. Chilin was there when she came. So I guess the elements of this, like protection,
Yeah.
welcoming, and maybe a sense of freedom as well.
That's lovely, because you talked earlier about how when we were doing the waiting room exercise, that you were realizing that what you want to do now is attract groups. So it's not like a perfect client, it's like a group of clients. And I noticed that your trees are trees where you could have a group underneath. Because I mean, if it's the big Bodhi tree or the trees in that national park, which I'm lucky enough to have been to as well, I think you are definitely moving towards this idea of groups. So how fab that was reflected in your tree. Well done, nice. Chiling, what did you have for your tree?
Mine is cedarwood. I just know this.
I didn't hear that, sorry. Yours is what?
Cedarwood. Is cedarwood or cedar?
Cedar.
C-E-D-A-R.
Oh, cedar, yeah.
So the first time it's not as good as because one of the perfume smells so good. It's really good. And later I kind of searched what it looks like online about this tree. So it's more like a very tall tree that,
Mhm.
like all the trees that is super tall. I remember the first time I went to San Francisco, the trees there are super tall, which makes me want to be a monkey. And I felt like when the tree is very like solid and tall, I felt like I want to be an animal, and I thought I would go back to the original state of mind to just be, oh, I'm so happy. This place must be so good to live. Um, and I think this cedar would just like give me this kind of feeling grounding. Um, I feel small and I feel relaxed. I think just the animal.
Yeah, and if you think about a very tall tree, it has very deep roots. So they say as much as you can see above the ground, there is below the ground. So perhaps that's also bringing you back to your roots in law and school and that strength that you get from your training. So perhaps that's something you can explore. Beautiful. I couldn't hear everything at the beginning, but I think I got the gist of what you said. You got better. Matt, what's your tree? Who are you if you're a tree?
Of course, I've got two, being me. The first one is
Oh
what
no, Matt,
I
we
can
couldn't
see
hear
out my
that.
side my window,
Yeah.
and they are. I'm sorry, Zoom. I struggle with Zoom.
Yeah, we can't hear very well, unfortunately. Can you just type it in the chat, maybe, the key
But
word?
they're huge trees.
You're
Yeah,
losing him.
unfortunately, Matt, we can't hear you. So I've realized, Delija, that I only shared the photo of my palm trees with you. So perhaps you can either share screen and show it or something. Um, I'm sorry, Matt, because we couldn't hear you. So I think we have to just move on. I don't know whether, Joanna, you want to share. You weren't there at the beginning, but if you were a tree, I don't know if you want to share. Ah, there you are. Do you want to share who you'd be if you were a tree?
Yeah, I think a banyan tree. I
Nice.
have a few favorites. I love the banyan, and when I run, because there's quite a lot of them around where I am in Hong Kong. So, and then they have those like, what do you call them? Those like,
Like,
I
yeah,
call them like
long,
beard.
yes,
They're
yeah.
not called beard, I know. Like it's kind of like an air root, right? That's like growing to
Mm,
the ground, and I
mhm.
like how interesting that is. Like usually the root is like hidden in the ground, but the root is like feeding the air and absorbing the energy around, and just like hanging out and connecting, and just like it's moving to its own direction, but at the same time it's connecting with beings around it. So I just love it. It's fantastic. There's like one gigantic one near where I live, and I
Yeah,
always like walk by it and look for inspiration. So that's my tree.
no, that's beautiful. And perhaps those
Mm.
air routes are you reaching out to your
Yes.
future clients, your perfect
Mm.
client. That's beautiful. I just
Mm.
want to share what Matt wrote. So he put a tall tree with deep roots that move with the wind. Yeah, that's me and my palm tree. I love it. Also, a tree that I saw in Peru that actually walks by growing new trunks that move towards the sunlight. That sounds very cool. So, yeah. And then Delida wrote also, oh, sorry, that's the same
No, no,
one.
no.
Yeah.
I just, yeah,
Oh, beautiful, Matt. He's given us the tree, a gum
I
tree.
didn't
Yeah,
get, I
very,
didn't
also
get
very nice.
your image of your tree, Bridget. It didn't come through for
Oh,
me either.
sorry. Okay, that's because I didn't send it. There we go. I've sent it to you. If you can, I don't know, either share it or. Has anyone got any other questions, or are you just feeling like, whoa, that's a lot of information. How do I make that into something useful? Has anyone got any feedback or any questions? With the last few minutes, or you're just overwhelmed and
I
needing a
was
break?
focused on your drawing. This is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. There are my palm trees that I love palm trees. That's what I want to be. Well, Delida, it's for me it's 9:01 and that means it's the end of
Yes,
my workshop
this is
and
the end of the program. I'm really excited, and I love how you took us into the connection with the past and present and into future, and
yeah,
also insight into our rootedness and also values. Much more to explore. I think very curious to see how we can all help each other to really polish these and like profiles and the way we present ourselves. And yeah, I think that I'm super excited of how we can take this even further and
Yeah,
to get
thank
more
you. I
people
like
to
the
go deeper.
rootedness idea. Yeah, I think we have a lot of freedom as coaches, and we need to take that and just express who we are, attract the people who love that, and keep away the people who are not interested. And keep thinking of that, you know. You only need to attract the ones who would work with you perfectly. So thank you, Matt. Well, I've had a ball. You've been really interactive, despite the Zoom problems and the issues. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dalida, for inviting me. It's been a joy, and I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you better. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Bridget. I'll definitely replay this one and then I'll, do the journaling on my own. It's very interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Take
See you
care.
soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye, Chile. Bye, Dalida.
Bye.